What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Certain Point of View. As we are back, the whole crew is here. Brian's putting on his microphones.
Headphones.
Microphones?
Wow. It's actually
Happy Monday.
I don't think they doesn't
Welcome back, everybody. We are here. We got some really, really big Schmoedown stuff to talk about today. Obviously, all of you know by now, a lot of new rules are being implemented into Schmoedown this season, and we're going to be diving into each and every one of them, the ones that we know about at the moment anyway. And we are super excited to do so because we got some thoughts, whether they be good or bad. We are excited to talk about it. But before we get to everything Schmoedown, let's talk to the crew, see how everybody's doing. Jill, weekend's over. It's Monday. Hanging in there?
Yeah. Today was actually fine. My 2022 health plan started today, so that was fun. So diet starts now. So let's trying to get rid of the quarantine 15. I think people are calling it now. I know, right? Molly's hair, though. Can we talk about Molly's hair for a second? Because I live for Molly's hair right now.
Do you actually have to do anything, or is it just do that?
I just put some mousse in it and blow dry it upside down with a diffuser.
Do you just love it being that easy, though?
Yeah, I mean it's still not as easy as it when it was really, really short, but yeah, it's a little easier.
I need to get a diffuser. That's what I need for my hair.
It works wonders. It makes a big difference.
My sister wants that thing that sucks your hair into a vacuum and then it comes out curly or something.
I don't think those
the Dyson Airwrap. It works. It works pretty well, but it doesn't hold a curl like a heated barrel would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I shave off all my hair so I don't have to do anything.
Must be nice.
Hey, you can do it too.
I'm tempted to do it again, but try not to.
I don't have the face for it.
That's not true. You could totally pull off that end of the world grungy short hair look.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Pictures, please. I need pictures, please.
Brian, you hanging in there, man? I know that a certain something is dropping here very, very soon. You gonna be okay? Everything all right?
I'm trying not to think about it. I'm ready for my Moon Knight trailer to drop. Yeah, I heard halftime, which is 15 minutes from now, so I know the amount of time it takes for 15 minutes of NFL football. But yeah,
I want to do that, Frankie.
That's what I'm saying.
Do that. The thing is, the reason why I don't. Because growing it out would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, growing out like a side shave is the worst.
Yeah. I would maybe do underneath.
If you shave your head, Jill, you could cosplay as Furiosa.
I'm not Charlize Theron. I can't. No. I know.
I think you should just go for it.
You won't know until you try.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no going back, but you won't know until you try.
I'm okay. I'm good.
I will say this. I love Charlize Theron, but I'm also very excited to see Anya Taylor-Joy.
100%. 100%.
Probably more than you, Jake. Probably more
than
you.
Not. Sorry. No, you're not. No, you're not. Sorry. Shameless plug. There will be an Apocalypse Movies trailer reaction for Movie Night. Check that out. Molly Damon, how are you doing?
I'm good. We had a nice, lovely snow day here in Georgia yesterday.
Jealous.
All the snow is gone now, and everything's just cold and wet. But yesterday was nice. We had the fireplace going all day. I binge watched season 2 of Cheer. It was great. We made chili.
Ooh.
I had chili last weekend. And it was great. Question for the class, and this doesn't come from me.
Cornbread.
Beans.
Well,
yes.
Cornbread. Whoa. Everyone. There's been a discussion in the space who watch Yellowstone, the television show, because it came out recently in Yellowstone that real chili doesn't have beans.
Beans and chili.
That's such a snobby way to look at it.
I agree it's snobby, but we made chili without beans, and my God, it was tasty.
Then it's just meat
I mean,
sauce.
Then it's just
Pretty good.
then it's like a pasta sauce. Like
Pretty good.
I don't know.
I will
I
say,
don't
if
care.
I'm getting chili on a hot dog, I don't want beans in that chili. Like chili as a topping, I prefer no
okay.
beans.
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that.
If I'm eating chili, I need some more girth in it, I guess. Is like I guess
That word is just
Ugh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll
that's
put that
like
out.
moist.
Girth and
Girth and
chili.
moist are like just two words.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
What voice?
I was
You just don't want
like,
to touch those two words. Like no.
This chili's
No.
girthy.
It's
I went-
girthy and moist.
I went to Old Town Sacramento, speaking of chili, and I didn't realize that there is a burger joint and hot dog, I think. I don't know, it was just burger. That is like a chili whatever burger place. Of course, I didn't get that. I got beignets instead. But yeah. No, nice chili cheese dog.
100%.
There's nothing like a good chili cheese dog.
Maybe now this could be controversial. Some Fritos.
Yes, I always
Yep.
put Fritos in my chili.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like Frito pie.
Yeah, but like you could put it on top. Like I put them on top of my hot dog too.
There's a restaurant here in Sacramento. So I haven't found it, but I saw it on Instagram one day that actually does they cut the Frito bag and then they do the full on chili in the Frito.
Oh, yeah.
And they
That's
sell
what,
it.
Fox Brothers in Atlanta does that, and it's so freaking good.
It's such a genius idea, and it's probably so cheap to make, and you
Yeah.
make so much money off of it.
I do that kind of with sometimes if I'm feeling extra lazy with tacos, with a Doritos bag.
Guys, remember how I talked about me starting my health plan for 2022?
I was just gonna say it's funny.
This is not it. Dog.
I was just gonna say that I've made Crunchwrap Supremes where I've replaced the tostada shell with Doritos.
Guys, I had a salad today
I did too.
and a hard-boiled egg.
Have you heard of
Those are
that?
good.
A walking taco?
I'm sure it's called. I mean, that definitely makes sense. I'm sure it's called different things in different places. I know it as a Frito pie, is what I know it as.
I can walk with just about any taco. No food is gonna stop me from walking around.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting.
You can make any food to go if you try hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll just say that I had a very successful weekend. We did a lot of wedding stuff.
Cheers.
We went to the venue and did a lot of things. We spent like 3 hours at the venue.
You pet the Longhorns.
No, we didn't pet them, but
Pet them?
what's cool about it is
Wait,
that
there's gonna be animals? There's gonna be animals there?
It's a petting zoo.
So no, it's not pettings. Relax.
I'm learning so many things.
No, so it's acreage. It's a house on some land, and they have Longhorns in a pasture, and we actually get to go out. And the woman who owns the house literally said, like, you can go up and pet them, like they're big, giant. Like
That's
petting
all Molly and I are doing.
No, it's not
while
for
we're there.
everybody. It's just for us.
Oh,
We get to go out there and take
Oh.
pictures with them.
We're gonna pull some like James Bond sneaky stuff, and we're gonna sneak
Oh yeah,
away,
I could
and
see you guys being
I
totally sneaky.
I
Yeah.
love you, but I just got significantly less excited for your wedding. Now that we don't get to pet the.
we don't get to
Long-
pet
It's not
animals.
our decision. It's not our call.
Don't let me back there after I've had a couple of drinks, because I'll try to ride one.
Hey, it's better to
Yeah.
ask forgiveness than permission. Is
Yeah.
motto.
Exactly. What are they gonna do? Cancel the wedding if we get back there?
I'm gonna go pet me a longhorn. Damn it!
Yeah.
Can't stop me.
No, but it's pretty exciting. We have a lot of stuff done already, so it's coming along.
Nice.
I don't understand how you guys can do this so quickly under a year. I would need years, plural.
Yeah, we would have had
Under a year.
just over 9 months would be the full proposal to wedding day.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Bunch of psychopaths.
so
I've seen people do it faster than that.
I
but,
hope she has her dress, because that's how long it's taken for dresses to be.
she picked it out
That's
3 weeks
true.
ago.
All right.
Oh
good.
please! She's one of the ones that just put it on and it fits perfectly.
Because
No, it's
she's
not.
totally a sample size.
No, well, I don't know that, but
She's for
she
sure.
she took a little while to choose. So, but no. All right. So away from all that,
Probably could
let's-
have just walked out with one. She's
Let's
a sample.
no, it was on her second time going to try on wedding dresses. So
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it probably fit her like a glove, like zero alteration.
Again, I have no idea because I wasn't there. All right, Schmoedown, everybody. Season 9 is right around the corner. It's coming up quick. We're in the middle of January. We'll be seeing matches and the full factions and everything very, very soon. And the biggest update we have at this point is brand new rules headed to this league. Some are adjustments, some are full-fledged new rules into the system of the Schmoedown that are kind of bringing everything into almost a new era of the Schmoedown because they're changing some things that
if you
we
will.
can't say that. That was last season.
no was
It's a
New Era.
reboot.
No, New Era was 2 seasons ago.
Oh, 2 seasons ago.
Last season was War. This one is
yeah, that's
Reboot.
right. That's right.
Too many damn names, Christian. Anyway, there are a lot to go through, so we're going to go through them. We're going to go through them as they were released via the rundown, Mr. Brad Gilmore and Frank Janish, as well as Mr. The Beast, William Bibiani.
Yeah, I know. Frank's here to correct us.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, that's literally why he's here.
That's why Jake's the one that's reading it. So that
hey, bring it on, Frank. Bring it on, Frank. All right, so let's get to one that was definitely the most hot topic throughout this past season, and a rule that they have kind of adjusted going into this season. That is the benefit of the doubt rule. And this is kind of a breakdown of what happened here, and everybody can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat because I'm sure you will.
Frank,
but the
you
rule.
will.
Here's some words here. The rule was initially written to be used when rules weren't clear, but players started using it as a challenge. The wording has been altered to make sure it's only used when there is a rule that doesn't exist for a particular moment. So it would no longer be used as a challenge, is what I'm getting from that. Thanks,
Frankie.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate
Jeez.
it. So basically what's happening is, so look, the benefit of the doubt rule, we all agreed that the benefit of the doubt rule is something that definitely is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
But it was being taken advantage of way too much over this last season with challenges, one letter or something that just happened. Managers were just basically saying benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt. And now what's happening is that the judges can now say, no, like that's not allowed to be used as a challenge anymore. It's only for specific moments. When there really isn't something to be used, they're going to be using the benefit of the doubt rule. And I don't know about you guys, but I like the adjustment. Obviously, there's going to be hits and misses when we get it, like there is with every rule. But it's probably the best adjustment we can get with it for what was happening last season.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, noticing it, I think the things that people called benefit of the doubt on got addressed this year, so there's no need for it.
Yep.
I mean,
and that's what they're saying too, because they made it into actual rules.
Yeah. So it's I mean at this point, thinking and seeing what we've seen, there shouldn't be a need for it because there's a rule now for it. For me, the only thing I can think of that mostly it got used on, which is another one that we're going to talk about, is the things like and the
so
like Raya the Last Dragon.
Yeah. So it ties into they're calling it the article rule.
Yeah.
Which you can miss an article at the beginning of the answer. So like the example that Bibbs used was the silence of the lambs. You could say silence of the lambs, but you can't say silence of a lambs or something. Like you can't miss up the words in the middle.
Or Raya the Last Dragon.
Yes.
Sorry, really quick side note. Did Frankie just change YouTube channels? Did you just hop onto a different... Love you, Frankie. Okay, anyway, sorry.
No. So yeah, the benefit of the doubt kind of ties into the article side of it of
yes.
You can miss the and any of that in the beginning of the answer, but you can't miss it in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And that is definitely obviously connecting to what is being used as the benefit of the doubt rule over the last year or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone is pretty relieved of this change because, like we said, I feel like people were definitely taking advantage of it and pretty much using the benefit of the doubt rules. Oh, well, you know what I mean, and that's not what this Schmoedown is. Like, it's not a you know what I mean answer. It's a no, this is the answer, and you're wrong or you're not. So people definitely were taking advantage of it, and there's a lot of benefit of the doubt rules that I didn't think should have been accepted, like Raya the Last Dragon, for example, because Raya the Last Dragon kind of makes it seem like the dragon is Raya, and that's not what it is, and so a completely different movie. But yeah, I think I don't know anyone who is upset with this rule change. Like, it needed to happen. I honestly think they should have gotten rid of the benefit of the doubt rule completely, like mid-season last year, just because it was just getting so ridiculous in my opinion. So very thankful that they finally tweaked it, and bless, because it was just getting ridiculous. So.
And to add real quick, Gordon has a question here. Can they say James Gunn's Suicide Squad instead of the Suicide Squad? So from what I understood, the way Bibbs described it on the show is that if there are two movies with the exact same title, they have to have the exact title. So it has to be Suicide Squad or the Suicide Squad. In that sense, you have to have the actual article at the beginning.
Well, that makes sense.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, that's what they said the ruling would be.
That makes sense, though, because they literally marketed that movie as the Suicide Squad too. Mm-hmm. So like, if someone was to say, "Do you see Suicide Squad?" I would literally be like, "The first one."
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would know. Yeah, that's
so. Yeah. I mean, that one makes more sense to me, because that was literally marketed as the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will be more
total sense.
Yeah. And I'm sure people will be more in that case. I could definitely see a competitor saying like James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
And that's a point, right? He didn't direct Suicide Squad. He directed The Suicide Squad. So,
James Gunn would be like, "That's not the title."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's also IG, where like, so I don't think any IG player is going to make that mistake just because they're so laser focused on NIG. So I don't think the IG players would make that mistake. Maybe singles and teams players, maybe, but wrong movie. Sorry, you get it wrong. Next question.
At this point in the game, like, you should know the movie titles. Like, it's gotten to a point where you need to know the actual titles or the name of the actors or actresses or whatever the question is going to be about. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of how the game has evolved. But I do like the adjustment. I think it obviously was the one thing everyone was looking for this entire offseason, was the adjustment of the benefit of the doubt rule. I think the ruling so far, I mean, we haven't seen it in actual play, but from what they had said is they've done a bunch of mock matches, and it seems to be working so far.
Mm-hmm. Brian Nussbaum in the chat brings up a good point. So the Halloween, would they have to put the year?
Yes.
So like Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
Or
unless the question specified which year it came out.
So they would have to say Scream or Scream 2022.
Well, yeah. So, but if the question said like, which horror film did David Gordon Green direct in 2018, then you can just write Halloween.
Because it already says 2018.
Because it already said the year in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that they made a lot of points of like, you have to pay attention to how things are worded in questions. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be making sure the writers, Abby, PJ, the whole crew, Jeremy, that these questions are going to be worded the way that the rule book is crafted for these competitors to look into going forward. Which
got to make sure it's read exactly how it's written, though.
Oh, and that's true. That is true. But it seems like everyone's kind of seems to be on the same page now. So, okay,
Chuck, that is the biggest crime to come from that movie, that it was not named like that.
No, I don't like that at all.
You're not fun.
Thanks,
so.
I hate it.
All right, we did get a Streamlabs here in between this. So I'll go ahead and read this from Tim Sim. He said, "I'm happy that the benefit of the doubt rule is being addressed, but personally, I think it was not amended enough with example references, which we have many from seasons past, to address what follows the rule or not. Also, I'm certain that the wild card category..." Oh, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Never mind. I'll save that one.
We'll save the rest for later.
I'll save that one before we get to it.
It's like a large meal. We'll save the rest for later.
So I see where Tim is coming from. Tim, I see where you're coming from. But at the same time,
I'm sure they have examples stored.
I'm sure they're ready for pretty much any.
They're not going to literally go through and tell us every single example. Mm-hmm. Like, I guarantee you they have.
This ties into the next addition that's been added is the line judge.
Yeah.
And the addition
I need to see someone in stripes. Like,
well, what I was going to.
Point. Point.
Like a ref with flags.
And I preferably PJ to be like, point.
Well, because what I was gonna say is that because PJ is out of state, so unless he's in a Zoom call for a lot of these matches, and if we are going to be going back to studio full time, Bibbs is at the studio a lot.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if a majority of the time Bibbs is the one who's
Ben
doing
Bateman.
it.
I mean,
Bateman,
guys
Bateman
that
is
actually
there a
worked on the
lot.
rulebook.
I feel like it would be. I feel like it
Frank?
would have to be somebody who worked on the rulebook. So Frankie, Bibbs, Bateman, PJ. Oh,
Abby.
thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm glad.
PJ,
Thank you.
I
Please
wanna
come
see
visit
you
me.
going,
Come to
point.
me, my darling.
Point.
I need
It'll
a
be like
line judge
in the live event buzzers where someone's like puts
Yeah.
their hand
Yeah.
over here.
Josh McCouga is going to be in the back, just watching the buzzers, making sure like everyone's all
Okay,
good.
so there's a clarification. Players can't be line judge.
Oh, okay. Even if they're not playing in said match, they
I
can.
see.
Yeah.
I see what he did. He
And
built
they
himself
did
a
say on the
job.
show.
So
they,
Frankie's a line judge.
They did say on the show
He
that
built
they're
himself a
aiming-
job.
They are aiming for the line judge to be a writer. If the writer isn't available, they'll go to the next best thing. Is what they're
So
doing.
PJ or Abby.
PJ, Abby,
Abby.
yeah, whoever else is there as far as a writer. That's what they're aiming for.
Okay.
But obviously, that may not happen. So maybe Frank steps in, or maybe Christian becomes a line judge if he's not announcing, something like that capacity.
Got it.
But I think it's a great idea. We've kind of had it in digital, right? The writers have been sitting back there, but it's always been a consensus vote between whoever's on the desk and backstage. Now it solely comes down to that line judge. And I think that's, for me, that's a very smart decision because you don't have too many hands in the kitchen, right? It's one person's opinion and that is the rule.
I will say this.
There you
In a way, just from previous seasons, I almost kind of hope, and this could be something that's spoken internally, I don't think the fans need to know who that line judge is.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think they should.
I
agree.
personally don't think the fans should know who the line judge is. And frankly, I wouldn't mind if the players didn't know who that line judge was for their match either, because I think that could lead to some toxicity.
Backlash.
That does not need to happen. And if you nip it in the butt early by not if that's something that doesn't come out to the fans, that's one less thing in the future you're going to have to worry about. Because let's look at the writers, for example. The writers,
how much ish they get.
How much crap they get for one certain thing. And it's ridiculous. It's unnecessary. So I think it's something that should be thought of now before the season starts. So that way you're not regretting it a month in when something happens and you don't have that backlash.
Frankie wants people.
If it's Frank,
no. Okay, hold on.
If it's Frank, I don't care.
From the rundown aspect to absolutely roast that person if a decision is wrong. That's what we want it for.
If the person wants,
it should be anonymous. Frankly, I agree.
Yeah. If it's Frank, give him the smoke. I don't care. But if those people don't want their names and stuff out there for that exact reason, I don't.
Do not look at the man behind the curtain.
Well, and from a filming perspective, when we go back to studio, the way the studio matches are filmed, if it's going to be similar to how we did it before, it's going to be very easy to keep that person off screen. Like, you don't have to shoot that person or have that person on video the entire time. But if something comes up, you cut away, and that footage is actually never shown. It's really easy to not show that person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against this idea.
Plus, I'm reading a little bit of this stuff on Reddit about the rules. Apparently, they can come in on their own accord and like say something, which is good because that's just like an extra little security for like if the people on the desk mess something up, and they can be like, whoa.
And we've seen plenty of times when someone has read a question, or even if they read a question correctly, we've been like, well, that question sounds weird, or that answer sounds weird, but they didn't catch it. So having a line judge there is obviously like just that third head who is solely focused on everything like that. Yeah. And that person is going to have a rule book on hand, which is even a better, it's going to be someone who has read the rule book from front to back. So they're going to know everything we need to know as far as the rules that need to be clarified, pointed out, etc.
That's fair. I just think it's something that should maybe be thought of now, because it's something you can't really go back on once that name's out there. So just food for thought.
Yeah.
Before we get to the next one, Tim Sim came in here with a couple super chats. After seeing too many moments of social media attacks on a person happen, I agree with he meant Brian.
Who's David?
I love the chat. Who's David? But yeah, I 100% agree with Brian that of course, unless it's Frankie, and Frankie just lives off of the hate.
Maybe Frank's the only one that's allowed to be in the spotlight.
Frank is a lightning. I'm going to steal whose line is it anyway line and say Frank is a lightning rod of hate. He thrives off of hatred.
Your hatred only makes him stronger.
Yeah. So unless it's Frankie, I feel like it should definitely be someone who is a mystery.
And maybe you have already the idea of those. I'm just going to throw out a number. Those 5 people that are going to be line judges. Ask them. It's not that hard. Do you want it? Do you care if it's known that you are a line judge? Yes. Cool. Maybe 4 out of the 5 say yes. Awesome. That one person doesn't want their name out there. Respect it. Like because if it gets on social media, it can be brutal. Like, I mean,
people get angry.
Exactly. So I just think I would love for that to be addressed before the season starts.
Well, they don't even need to address it. They can just do it without saying anything.
I meant addressed internally, not literally saying it out loud.
Yeah. Agreed.
Just because I think that's something that you can get ahead on, and you don't have to worry about it. And then later on, that person's not upset or whatever. I think it's something that you should definitely look into, though.
I agree. All right, next one is one that almost feels very overdue, and that is an even number of questions across the board, each division. We are now officially moving from the scattered number that we've had for rounds over the last couple years to 10 questions in round 1, 5 questions in round 2, and 3 questions in round 3. Before, obviously, singles just had the 8, teams just had the 8. And then Inner Geekdom and Star Wars were a little bit more, but now it is 10 strictly across the board in the first round and 5 in the second round. I've been questioning why this hasn't been the case for a very long time. It just makes sense to have it. I get that maybe there's a little bit more to play with in Inner Geekdom because there's more deep dive questions, right? But singles and teams, like, you're literally picking from every movie ever made.
Yeah.
Obviously, like theatrical, there's certain categories and stuff you're picking from, but there are so many questions, and now it opens up the possibility for a little bit more categories to be put in those first rounds, a little bit more fun. It just makes sense. And it's also, like Bib said, it's for a chance for a lot of people to get a lot more points, break a little bit more records, have a little bit more fun. It just evolves the game in the direction it should be.
I think Star Wars has always been like that, like 10 in the first round and 5, at least since me and Alex have been playing, because I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Make it all the same.
Yeah.
This is my 4th season watching, and I still can't tell you which ones had which.
I couldn't either. I would always get confused because I'd be like, wait, hold on. I thought this had this many, and so no more confusion. Yay. Good change.
That just makes sense.
Stamp of approval.
And Ryan is 100% right when he says it's just going to make Shazam better. So.
Yeah.
Facts. Ryan, I'm with you, bud. I'm with you. A couple people here saying that they would actually rather teams be 8 because there's obviously more people involved.
Yeah.
Interesting question.
I mean, yeah.
I guess if any of them were going to be different, teams would be the one that would make the most sense. But
so the only backfire I would have to them with that is that second round now goes from 6 to 5 questions for them. So it was 6 questions in round 2 for teams. Now it's back to 5. So it kind of does balance itself out a little bit. It's not a massive, like, here's a lot more points. But I can see their argument, but I just like the fact that everything across the board is just 10, 5, 3. It just
we like a little uniformity. So that way, like, if like I'm this season, one of my friends back home, I'm going to be introducing it to him this season. He wants to, like, he's interested in it. And for someone like me, that is going to introduce it to someone, it makes so much more sense to be like, okay, so each round, first round is 10, second round is 5, third round is 3. Instead of being, okay, so Star Wars does 10, and then this, and singles does like that. Like, I mean, there might be like little teeny rules. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but most sports, minor leagues or big leagues, like
I was literally just gonna say you don't see the major leagues playing 9 innings and the minor leagues playing 7.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could think of really is like a baseball pitch clock, which it's not. Well,
the only big adjustment you can see is actually like in college basketball, where instead of 4 quarters, it's 2 halves. Like something like that. But in reality, every sport is very uniformed. Like football. Like college football is not 5 points for a touchdown. It's still 6 points plus the field goal. It's the same point. So it just makes sense to finally kind of get everything on the same page. And like Bib said during the show, it allows people to like have the chance to actually break these records that have been sitting for a long time, like a very long time. And I know everyone's like, "Oh, Shazam's just gonna get more points," but this goes for everybody. Like this could go for like Janine last year. If this was in uniform for a singles match, she could have broken a match that she had last year the way that she was playing, or maybe Nikki would have done something in Star Wars if points were a little bit different for her. Like it just makes sense to have it this way.
Curtis's question, Frank, if you're still in here, I think I would love to know what rules apply to which, or if it's just uniform throughout the whole.
As far as I know from watching, FCL is uniform from the entire every division. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong though.
I mean, I don't. If you want personally,
same DJ, same.
Yeah, like I said, I've watched 4 seasons and I couldn't tell you which ones had what number. This is my thought with the FCL. If you're gonna say that it's no different basically than MTS, it's the digital. Everything should be the same.
I agree.
I mean, logic wise,
Frankie can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if it's truly just the only distinction, which it sounded like Christian wanted, is it being more digital, then you should have the exact same rule.
But you could make the argument, because there are times in sports where, like, and this is just an example, but in college football, you only have to get 1 foot in to be in bounds. In the NFL, you need the 2. You could make a ruling in FCL where like every round is 8, then we have 4 and 3, or then we have
still
8,
all
5,
uniform.
But every league that they have is still the same.
Yeah, I would be fine if like they wanted to keep all the rules the same, but like round 1 is 8 instead of 10. Like that would make sense. Like that I'm fine with, but like I don't want to see them have completely different rule books, but still kind of be like, it's the same thing, it's just digital, because then it's not. So I'm just curious. I know Curtis, the one time we need PLD.
I can ask Dwayne. I can see if I can reach out to Dwayne, but I don't if anyone knows.
I'm sure they'll probably cover it. They might have some rule adjustments on their own too.
Like, let's be honest. Brad's gonna want to make his own little show about the rules.
Yeah, he's gonna keep that close to the vest until he can say it.
As much FaceTime as he can get.
But by the way, were you guys able to watch the show and his reactions to all of these rules?
Oh, he was living. He was living for it. It
was so great. It was so great. Okay, we kind of talked.
Yes.
We kind of talked about this a little bit, but the clarifying of the questions. So again, the articles, the thes, the ands, just them, that you have to get the title exactly right. But if it's in the beginning of the title, then it's okay to miss that, but you can't say it in the middle.
If the title's long, I think is the distinction.
Yeah, and then there was another example. The other example is like they kept talking about the way sequels were named. So like Godfather 2 would not be correct. Godfather Part 2 is correct. Mm-hmm. You can't say Zombieland 2 because the movie is actually called Zombieland Double Tap. So all of that is now out the window. They are now holding everyone to a standard where you have to get the exact title or name of the actor or actress, which I highly agree with.
That was my favorite thing about the rules.
I highly agree with this.
Because I think it said if the title is long, you don't have to worry about the first the, but if the answer is The Godfather, you have to have the in there. But if it's like a long title, then
I'm assuming just as an example, for in Molly's case, if she was to say Solo, it'd be fine. Then Solo, a Star Wars story,
I don't know. You might
Yeah,
have to write
that's-
Solo a Star Wars
or
story.
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
You might have
I don't-
because that's what it came out as.
I don't know, because like they've never done that really with Star Wars, because it's
Star Wars
such a
might be
PJ, are you here?
it's
PJ,
such
are
a
you here?
condensed division. We know all the movies that could be asked about.
Yeah.
So if they want to go there with that, they should definitely specify. But that it really hasn't been that big of a deal in the
PJ
past.
says no.
So. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Solo would work.
I mean, it makes sense, but
There's only 12 of them. Like you,
Yeah,
just-
because there's only
it's-
12
Yeah.
films.
yeah, and none of them are made the same. Or
Now,
have
if
the
somebody were to
same-
slip up and say "Revenge of the Jedi," that is not correct.
That's wrong.
yeah, exactly. Okay, just making sure.
All right, now to the fun one. Let's break up the conversation here. Wild card slices.
I hear PJ even gave us an example.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold on.
in the blank franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's
that
like
makes
if we say which film in the Pirates franchise, you just answer with the subtitle.
You'd say Curse of the Black Pearl or Dead Man's Chest or what have
All right, let's get to the wild card slices because this is obviously the biggest addition. That
Oh, Jacob! Look at everyone's. I just love how everyone like always has like a.
From my perspective, you would need F9 the Fast Saga because that's what the movie came out as. That's what I
For
would think.
for singles, I would agree that it would
It would be
that's what
F9 the Fast Saga. That's what you would have to write down.
I cannot wait for the hissy fits.
My-
I cannot wait.
My
for the
anxiety
hissy
of
fits.
just of thinking about it is already like, oh,
Cannot
my.
wait for the
Everyone's
hissy
pulling all the
fits.
specific movies, right? Like Birds of Prey. Oh, what would be Birds of Prey? Like
Okay.
they're
Birds of
pulling all the
Birds of
specific
Prey and the
movies.
emancipation of
Ain't-
One
Ain't
hundred.
nobody got time to write out that whole entire time. I'm sorry. I with
That would
whoever
not
says,
be a round one question
No,
if
No,
they
you
had to
need-
write that full title.
you need a solid 30 seconds for that one.
Or they would maybe give you extra time for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the wild card. The biggest addition here to the Schmoedown yet, and I said it. It's my favorite thing to come to the Schmoedown in a very, very long time. Spinners and opponent's choice are obviously still there. They're still active, but there's a twist. It is no longer just going to be spinners and opponent's choice on the wheel. Instead of 2 wheels like that, there's now going to be 3. And under those wild card slices, we have spinners we have opponents, and then we have a brand new category that has never been used before. And that'll be the case every single time. It can be a category that's already made, that's never been touched, or Bibbs used the example of like in IG, if there's a wild card slice, it could be about swords used in IG movies or cars in regular movies, or just any category that is specific to that match that has never been touched before. You do have the option to spin away from it. If I'm not mistaken, I could be
Yes.
right about
if,
that.
If you spin on it round 1, you have the option to spin away.
Yeah.
But if you land on it, obviously it's your second spin. If you land on it, you have to take whatever is underneath.
And obviously the players don't know. It's a wild card slice. Once you land on it, there will probably be a selection process of maybe like a number system or something like that. But this is fun.
This
I
is a
love it.
juicy one.
This is
I love
fun.
this.
I
Because
love
especially
it.
with like you said with IG, if you were to put like swords or something in IG, like that's just exciting to get in my opinion, because IG people like study the nitty gritty of these
Yep,
movies.
yep.
They know all the swords and what they're called. So like this is a chance to get really specific and really flex on some people, and I love it.
I'm waiting for that Harry Potter spells.
I
slice.
love-
That's what
Well,
I'm waiting for.
that's definitely gonna. I love the fact that the players don't know what the
they
category
they have
is.
no clue. They
It's a
don't
complete
know.
mystery. So it could be totally up your wheelhouse that like you're the only person on the planet that knows what it is,
Yep.
or something that you have no idea what they're talking about. And I love it so much.
I'm so excited. Again, reason number 927 why I'm very happy I'm not a player in the Schmoedown, because if I was a player, I would probably be panicking over this rule change. But as a fan, I couldn't tell you the last time I was so excited over something. Like in the I couldn't tell you the last time
I agree.
was so hyped over something. I am ridiculously
Like,
stoked over
Jill,
this
this
game.
could be something like, what about like Disney songs?
Like, that could be ass. It could
Like-
literally be, because Disney is a slice in this. It could literally be questions all about Disney villain songs.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hyped. I'm so hyped. And then the whole gameplay aspect of it too is if you land on it on your first spin, do you want to take that gamble and see if you spun on spinner's choice? Like, it's a whole addition of gameplay, and like, I'm so excited.
And this is
I'm
obviously-
stoked.
This is obviously something that a lot of people have been talking about for these specific divisions, but more for IG and Star Wars in
Yep.
this aspect. Stuff that
Yep.
we've never seen asked before in these divisions.
Is
It
Star Wars
opens
get
up
the wild category or
I think
the
all
wild
four.
card category, yeah.
Wild
Just
card
random
categories.
categories that like background characters or more planets or
Oh
like,
God, background characters of Star Wars.
I'm giving examples.
that's just
My
something
mind
you have to
immediately
know
goes
now.
to Ross's
Yeah.
question with background.
like, okay, how about
characters.
this? What if this is the way you bring TV into Star Wars?
It could be.
I wouldn't say so
Mm.
much TV, but to me, it gives you the opportunity to ask more questions in Star Wars than it was before.
Yes, I agree.
And
I mean, without having to expand to TV, like you,
Like a lightsaber hilt
PJ
category.
says
or
no.
something.
yeah. So I mean, I think this is
But he said this season though. Yeah.
Too many
This-
people are not okay with TV coming into Star Wars
they have
yet.
so much
Yeah.
stuff to memorize now.
I think this is brilliant for something like Star Wars because it expands without having to touch TV yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you are
100%.
now able to, I mean, go even deeper into these 12 movies, but not at the same time like having to like claw and pull and drain every single resource as possible. Like you said, Jake, lightsaber hilt. So I just whatever, an example.
Or lightsaber
Uh,
color for somewhere or something, just something like that. Interesting.
I mean, you've got planets, you've got background characters. It's just there's so much more that you can do with it other than just because I mean, I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, PJ, that if you're using something like background characters, you're not going to just go to one movie. You get to pull from all 12.
Yep.
And that makes it even that scarier for something like Star Wars, where it's like you have to pinpoint and know where this person is, maybe. So,
Oh my God, Spaceballs as a category.
Spaceball!
Spaceballs.
The holiday special!
Brian
Please
Moore's
no.
Genius.
But
Please
so,
no.
also, side note, what they're talking about in the chat, Dylan had asked that if a player spins opponent's choice, can the other player give them the wild card slice?
Oh, I never thought about that.
PJ says yes,
But they would never know what's under.
but
That's
you
the
don't
thing.
know what it is. It could
But
be
you could
something
give them spinners.
super easy.
Yeah.
Like, it could
Holy
be a
crap!
super
I
easy
never
category.
even thought about that.
I mean that's basically mixed bag at that point, but probably harder.
For Star Wars, but for the other stuff
Yeah.
is like, woo.
But for singles, it could be something super easy. Like, I mean, I'm not a movie person, so I can't really say what would be like super easy that everybody knows. Like, but it could be something ridiculously easy where even I could probably come up with some answers for it. And it's like, cool, you just gave them.
No.
Because
No.
that person would have already spun spinners.
Yeah, it's not the person that spins opponent's choice gets to give them spinners. No one's gonna ever do that.
Yeah, no.
Well,
Alex would have done that for me
yeah,
Aw.
that's true.
because I told him he had to. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's fair. It's funny because
I told him he had to.
I
I'm kidding.
Are you though?
Yes.
I'll
Release the
say-
Damon cut. Release the Damon cut.
Release
need
the
that.
God, I want them to release the Damon cut so bad. It was so much fun. It's so bad.
I'll say this. It's funny because at first, when I saw this rule, I think I forget who out of you I messaged. I think it was Jill and I were talking, and I was like, Really? Because I'm, that old fickle, stick to it. It's not broken, whatever that saying is. But then the more I hear about it, the more it's stuff. I'm very excited for it. I think it will be very, very fun and something that is going to punch a little juice into something that some people might have been like, okay, this is the same thing every year. Now you've got a whole different thing that could be very scary in certain aspects. I mean,
And
singles, there's so much that those slices could be. Like, it could be anything, even Star Wars, where it's 12 movies. Like, that is terrifying.
yeah.
PJ just said one.
Well,
It could be an animated voice.
Hold on. Well, PJ's saying that if the person decides to give them the wild card slice, if they spin a opponent's choice, it's whatever slice they spin the wheel to.
Oh.
So they could realistically gamble and accidentally give their opponent spinner's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's complete gambling. The gameplay of everything is just
it adds more strategic value to the game. You really have to be prepped on what's going to happen if that does happen in your game.
But like the chances of someone giving someone the wild card slice probably isn't as big as we think it is, because like people are going to want to give them something that they know that they're not good at. They know that they could steal from, and the wild card is just it's a wild card.
So here's what makes the wild card even more interesting. Is we are having players this season who are not in factions, who are not playing for points. They're not getting any points if they win or lose.
Yep.
I could easily see those players risking that gamble because they have nothing to lose. Why not? Why not risk it and pick a wild card slice? Why not risk it and give the opponent wild card? Because they're not playing for points. So that aspect also, I'm so excited. Like,
I mean,
look, I love it. I love the wild card slices.
I agree, and every game evolves over time. Like every single sport game, like card game, doesn't matter what it is, it always evolves, no matter what. They use the example on the show of this being the Schmoedown's 3-point shot for basketball when that was officially added.
Oh my god, they should only give them wild cards.
Yeah. So look, the Schmoedown's going into season 9. There's been a lot of adjustments over the past 8 seasons, but we've always had spinners and opponent's choice on this game. And after 8 seasons, we're now seeing an adjustment on it, and it might be its best version yet. A game that is a high risk, high reward situation that is unlike anything we've ever seen before. It adds strategy. You really have to be prepared. I also love the fact that these writers can go crazy in categories they probably wanted to write about for a very long time. Things that they've watched, just certain movies and things that are happening in movies. I know it's not happening, but I'm sure Abby is chomping at the bit for a Disney Channel original movie category.
Give it.
Like Abby or you.
Well, both of us.
Yeah. Okay.
But see, like, there you go. Movies featuring Doctor Who actors. He's already got tons of ideas.
Movies featuring anyone that was in Herbie Fully Loaded.
Right? Only questions.
Only Herbie questions.
Herbie questions. Like,
it's a lot of fun. It's definitely
you can guarantee Abby's gonna have a Lindsay Lohan slice at some point. So get ready for that one, everyone.
Yep.
All right, let's move on from the wild card. I'm sure we'll be talking about that a lot more. The next one is a quick one. New betting round rule. Each person who spins gets a mulligan on the spin. So it's not an automatic choice of that slice that they spin. That person does get a chance to respin if they would choose. Something that does make sense. It's very similar to round 2. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I like it.
And King, you're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A Razzie slice.
Uh-oh, Brian. Uh-oh.
Struggle.
I Twitter
poster.
has just been doing this on my timeline and just refreshing, and it is my soul is. Being
Before we
crushed.
move on, I gotta bring up Tim's super chat about the wild cards or Streamlabs, excuse me. He said also, I'm certain that the wild card categories are to address the high number of opponents' choice being spun last season and allow more strategizing for more conservative players. It'll be interesting to see these changes play out in real time. That could very well be the case because we did see a lot of opponents' choice. Granted, it was a digital wheel, but there was a very high number of opponent's choice spun last season, which would make sense.
Stoked.
It's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
So
I'm just thinking of all the like a-hole cat ones where you're just like, seriously, like that's what you picked for the wild card. Like, I can't wait. It's gonna.
Some
be
of them are going to be
hilarious.
so absolutely ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
stoked. So stoked.
It adds such a fun element to this game. All right, next one. Yeah, I feel like this is kind of
Wait. We didn't Tim have something in his stream about wildcard?
I just read
You
it.
just read
Oh,
it.
dude, I'm
Were
sorry.
you tuning me out?
Moon Knight. That's all his brain
Moon
is
Knight.
at
You
right
watched
now.
Moon Knight?
I didn't watch it, but I'm just refreshing.
His brain is just
It is.
his brain is
Brian,
just
it's out.
moving.
Leave it
sorry.
alone. Just-
I
you it's out.
know.
It's
I
available.
know.
Just,
All right,
just
next
mute yourself
one.
and watch it, Brian.
No.
Next one. This I feel like this almost got the biggest backlash coming out of these new rules is the new whiteboard rule, which
This-
is
I hate it.
Is
Oh,
it-
the Thomas Harper rule.
The Thomas
Yeah,
Harper
okay.
rule.
So we might have different opinions on this, but I will say this. This is how it used to be. They used to take the whiteboards away in person when
Yeah.
we were in
They
person.
did. They
So
did.
I don't see a problem with them saying no whiteboards after round one because that's what they did.
I kind of hate this rule.
I don't like it either.
It doesn't, I don't mind it either way, really. But yeah, saying definitively whether or not it can be used besides round one, it's I think it needed to happen, but it doesn't bother me.
I don't like this because I don't think it benefited anybody because everybody had the option to use it.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to write stuff down, you could. So like I don't think it gave anyone an advantage, really.
Yeah. This was the only thing to come out of everything when I was like,
I don't
like
like this
it.
one.
I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. It's very targeted. I mean, let's be honest. There are a handful of players that do this. And so, in my opinion, someone had to have complained about it in order for this to be brought up. I agree with Jill. You are.
You like that's the thing. I don't.
He said his name 3 times and he appeared.
Literally.
It's like I said, it's very targeted. I don't see the reason. This seems very much to me, and if it sounds like an a-hole comment, it is. It seems very much to me like they beat me. What reason can I have?
But
how they
but
beat
every
me?
player has the same option
I don't
to
agree
use
with
it.
that.
Like
That-
I don't.
But see, and that's my thing. I know I saw someone say like, well, they can write down the question and that helps them not have to use a JTE. Okay. That's them outsmarting how to do it.
And
Me-
again,
I mean-
that the other player can do the exact same thing.
I
It's
don't.
not
I
like-
don't think that. I don't think that's a fair statement to make. But
It
that's just
sounds kind of like maybe legacy legacy players were like, I don't understand how this benefits the people who are using it, so I don't want it in the game anymore. Because
I
I don't
mean-
get how to use it to my advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like for an example, just because we saw him do it, but Thomas had like how many JTEs he had? Like,
Yeah.
okay, how does that?
How many-
That just
Yeah.
saves them
Is that-
from having to ask
Having
the
to
host.
ask.
Yeah, or like a C, maybe a C for a challenge. Like, I just don't get it. Like, what? I don't see the necessariness of it. Like,
I don't get it.
especially if it's like not digital, because like, I mean, if you're not in digital, it's not like they're going to be like writing cheating. Like,
no, there's no way you could cheat on it. Like
they flip the board every single time, so you can see if they have some type of answer everywhere. You can't write it on the back. You can't write it on the front. Like, I don't get it. You're gonna know if they're cheating somehow, like with a board. So why?
So I will say I get the arguments on both sides, and I see it all over the chat. I do somewhat agree with what King has said and a few others. It's not as engaging as an actual show if someone is just looking down at their whiteboard for 2 straight rounds.
Someone staring into blank space is also entertaining.
So look, I'm not like I'm.
Is this also entertaining?
No, they have to go.
The thought process of seeing someone maybe do a struggle of trying to find a question might be more appealing to others. I'm just saying, from a show aspect, maybe that's what they're going for. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and that's all I'm doing.
I think
Jake is 100% advocaing for this rule. He is not playing devil's advocate.
That's fine. You can put that in the universe. I don't care.
I think it's dumb.
One
I don't
thing
see
that
how it hurts anybody. I don't see how it I think it's stupid.
I will say this. If someone is my whiteboard's right here. I will say this. Instead of eliminating the whiteboard rule, I can understand someone, I'm using my TV remote because I don't have a pen here. Someone has their board like this while they're doing it. I get it. You can't see what they're doing. There are people that are paranoid to the point where they're oh my God, they're definitely cheating. I can't see the board. If someone like Thomas wants to use the whiteboard, if he has to do it like this so you can see their thought process, okay. If you want to say like any outside rounds, board must be visible at all time. Okay, cool. That's fine. If that's what you need to make sure that they're not cheating or whatever. But like, I would understand if it's off the screen. Like, that gives you that tiny question of a doubt. Like, you never know. What if their phone's by?
And what engineer said is also a good point. Is what if said person has an accent you can like I don't like I feel like having the whiteboard is beneficial.
With Star Wars names especially, that comes to mind.
Names.
Like some stuff you can say out loud, but you like kind of have to spell it to like have it make sense.
Star Wars names, Star Wars planets. It stops it from the judges going, "What did you say?" Because you could show your whiteboard and be like, "This is what I said."
Or like, I mean, with ships, it could be like a super long. I know this isn't a ship, but bear with me. Like MC285, whatever. Like, you could write it down and be like MC28 versus like MC5. Like, kind of it's like that. I don't know. It just seems very targeted, and I don't.
Yeah.
Like
See, Dylan is what Chundru and both Andrew have had lost points for pronunciation when had they just wrote it on the board, then so I think it's I'm not a fan of this rule at all.
Well, I'm sure this will come back around plenty of times this year. Next one on the list here, we have 2 left. The next one is categories.
Here, Jake.
That's kind of what I was saying about legacy players.
Fair. All right, categories here. So categories are now spread out throughout the game. Intergeekdom or player-specific categories can show up at any point in the game, not just in the wheel round. So Bibbs explained it as if he theoretically was playing someone who put Harry Potter on the wheel, and it was obvious his opponent put it on there. It won't matter because there will be Harry Potter questions throughout the game. Thoughts? Like, so for example, we could see.
I'm
slow. So it's not. So the best example given is that IG just isn't going to be a second round category. It can be something in the first round as well.
Good. It was theatrically released.
Yeah. So it's spread. Yeah. It's not just specific to that division. It's going to be, and it's more to singles and teams, obviously. that there will be more Star Wars involved. There will be more Indie Geekdom involved, not separating them because there's already those divisions. They're going to be evenly spread because those are actual films that have been released.
Good.
Yeah, more Star Wars in the singles rounds.
If they get a Star Wars question, it's not going to be who is this random robot in the background. It's going to be like who directed
cowards.
This. They're not going to freaking do that.
I'm kidding.
Like so like it's theatrically released. It's game on. That's part of the game. If it's theatrically released, it could be asked about. End of story. Yeah. So
I agree.
Will it be in depth as IG in Star Wars? Of course not. It's not gonna be some in-depth crazy questions, but
I don't know why it was ever kind of like redacted from singles and teams in general. Like IG and Star Wars questions, like why they ever took a back seat. Like they should be allowed to be asked anyway. Like you shouldn't just focus on the non-Star Wars or IG questions because it's singles and teams and because they have their divisions. They should be included just as much, even if they do have their own divisions. Like, who cares? They're still movies. Like, I want to see, like, who's someone. Like, I want to see. Well, I want to see Marisol McKee answer some Star Wars questions.
I was just about to say, Marisol
knows Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's like, why can't you ask like that? I mean, chances are, if you're in singles, you have a wide variety of tastes, unless. There are those players that don't prefer certain things like animation. That's their downfall because animation's not going to be not asked because you don't like animation. Like that type of thing. Like it's still asked, it's still on the table. So why not
sorry, that was my guy just hit it, but that was my comment.
There we go.
I was going to say, you know why they didn't have those in round one? There you go. That's why. But you don't have to worry about that.
This is a good reason for you to help your fellow Star Wars player that's on your team study.
There you go.
And again, if they ask, so example, if a Harry Potter question is asked in round one, they're gonna ask something that isn't like super ridiculously easy, but they'll probably ask who played Ron Weasley. Where to an IG person, that's like, okay, that's super simple. We know it's Rupert Grint. But not a lot of the singles players are going to know that. But it's a very simple Harry Potter question.
And here's also another really good point. This is from Jeffrey. I feel like this means if they're one Spielberg slice, they'll ask Indiana Jones questions instead of straying away from Indy and focusing on his other movies.
Yep.
Because there's like,
that's a great point.
Here's another like James Mangold, right? He's done Logan, comic book movie, but he's done a ton of other movies. If there was ever a James Mangold slice, that means Logan's going to be involved just as much as Ford v Ferrari, 310, any of those other movies. J.J. Abrams is another one who has a lot of geek movies and a lot of other movies.
Yeah, it's Cloverfield versus Star Trek. Like it's like you don't need to go towards just one.
Yep.
Agreed.
I think it'll be
for the record, I did put comic book movies in round one, and we've had it in round two in the past. Well, PJ, we're asking for more. So
more. Waiting for that Harry Potter round one question.
And the last one, which I actually really, really like here, is the new releases. So digital films will only appear in their own slice, which means the streaming service slice, essentially. This will have a list of films that for the players to go off of, they can study and access. That way they know which films are included in the slice. There will be some categories where streaming films can appear, and the examples being used were Hubie Halloween in the Adam Sandler category, or parameters of category will be clarified to players. So some can kind of transfer over if there's a specific slice to that movie, but there will be a streaming slice that only can be used at a specific time, which I love. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, especially after like the Black Widow stuff. I think this makes sense.
Yeah, because there was a lot of like Black Widow. Soul was not theatrically released; it was only released through Disney Plus.
All the new Pixar movies are literally
are going straight to Disney Plus, and so I feel like with the Encanto was in theaters.
It did like a week or two in theaters, and then went to.
Encanto was in theaters, but a lot of these movies that were supposed to be getting theatrically released were sent to streaming, and so because of that, can we not ask about them? And we're also getting award-winning films, award-nominated films, only being shown on streaming services. So, like, this was bound to happen, especially in the world we live in right now. So I am very glad of this change. Exactly. Or Ryan Reynolds, if Ryan Reynolds ever had a movie slice.
I mean, Don't Look Up is pretty new, but I think
Don't
it's
Look Up.
like going to be nominated for some stuff. So, if not
Yeah,
already.
you try telling me something like the cast alone of Don't Look Up isn't going to be used because it's a streaming. That's never going to happen. Like, I mean, there's certain things that it's just an obvious. Patricio,
PJ, hold on. I was gonna ask PJ that question, Brian. Hold on.
I already asked him today. Him and literally text today.
Okay.
Snyder Cut is a slice that is, or not a slice. Sorry, is a category that can be used. PG and I literally texted today. I said, "Is Snyder Cut a slice?" Or God, why do I keep saying?
Can it be asked about?
Can it be asked? And he said, "Yup."
Please, God, no Snyder Cut questions. Please, God.
Why you are just trying to catch hands these last couple of days.
Yeah,
I'm sure Kalinowski wouldn't mind.
No, he would not mind. But I'm glad that this is a slice. And I'm also very happy that the players are getting a list of streaming films that could be asked. Because there's a lot of them and we don't know what could be asked. So I'm glad that they're going to have, this is what could be asked. This is what you need to study. End of story.
I would just love to know, like, this is just me. Like, it would make sense. Although then it's kind of just like being annoying because you would have to check. But like, say, like Eternals, okay? Eternals just came out, right, on streaming on January 12th. Like, is there like a 3-month wait?
No, because it was in theaters.
But it's not on DVD.
But it was in theaters. So it would be the same precedent of how it was asked for other movies.
But what I'm asking is, at what point does it get allowed in?
It's not a streaming movie.
It's not a streaming movie.
I know. But so I'm saying it's not out on DVD, but it is available streaming. At what point?
There's a window for new releases, Brian.
It's the same.
And that's what I'm asking. I would love to know what a window is, and that's what
I believe it's 3 months.
Oh, I thought it was 6, but
I think it's PJ. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 3 months. Yeah, any movie in the last after 3 months.
Okay, see that's what I was asking.
It's the same as any film. It would just be after the theatrically released date. It can be asked. Same with streaming. Whatever date it came out on streaming, it can be asked about 3 months later.
Sorry, we had to make you clarify, PJ. We apologize.
Got it.
Well,
got it.
He does it now, then hopefully he doesn't have to deal with it later.
Oh, he'll still have to do it later.
We should have just had him on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hop on in, Peach. As we're almost done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Brian's itching to do the damn Moon Knight trip. No, I'm kidding.
It is out. I was just watching a little preview of it.
I know.
Always all watching it.
I've been tagged in it by like 9 different people.
All right. Any final thoughts on the new rules addition so far to the season 9 of the Schmoedown? Anything that we want to talk about before we kind of wrap up here?
Wild card is wonderful. Whiteboard is stupid. Is my final thoughts.
People are going to be arguing most of these on Reddit for a long time. So.
Yep.
Have fun on Reddit.
I don't spend much time on Reddit.
No, I don't either.
Wild card rule is the best thing added to the Schmoedown in a very, very long time.
Yep.
It's very exciting.
I can't wait to see it in action. Bib said that he and Bateman have played around 24 matches, and the wild card has done great things so far.
I just can't wait for that first. Are you kidding me? Like,
there's going to be so many little.
I cannot wait for that first one.
Hype.
All I'm going to say is I say there should be harder questions and everybody gives me crap, but they put a wild card slice and yay.
Facts. You heard it from Molly Damon first, everybody.
Love it.
All these changes are because of you. Trying to make it harder.
Blue Phoenix, real quick before we wrap up, I'm not positive. I think they're doing away with this rule. I could be wrong. but someone else in the chat may be able to answer that, and it might be revealed later on. But it
The
has not been
timeout-
right now.
The timeout rule, I know that's not a thing for digital matches to be done.
Mhm.
Studio
they-
could be different.
Yeah, studio might be different, but they told us no timeouts in digital, which I think is silly, but who cares?
I think a timeout rule will be okay. 1 minute timeout is like nothing, and editing,
Yeah.
you can literally cut the editing down to like 5 seconds. So
Body
Because
break
look,
rule.
if you don't use your challenge, the player might just use the challenge rule as a timeout.
Yeah.
Because what's stopping them?
that's fair. That is fair. All right, that's gonna wrap it up, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on the season 9 rules. A lot of additions to this season. Brian, I see that you're mentioning David Jindoyan. We congratulate him on his brought up to the MTS proper. We'll be talking about that more once we get in kind of like news stuff with Schmoedown when everything kind of gets back up and running. I'm sure this week will probably be a lot of reveals because it is coming pretty quick. So maybe next week we'll have a lot more information regarding that type of stuff. But for now, we're going to go ahead and end the show on that. We'll do some quick plugs before we wrap up. Jill, why don't you start us off tonight?
You can find me on Jilly Marie, 2 Y's, 2 E's, on Twitter and Instagram. You can also sometimes catch me over on Sean Sullivan's Twitch channel. Suit Up Sully, I think is what it is. No, or Sean Sully, I don't know. I forget what it is. But you can I tweet about
I think
it.
it's
What
Sean
a great
Sullivan.
plug.
What a great plug. I believe it's Sean Soley. I believe he is streaming tonight. He's going to continue streaming Inscription, which is a very fun game. So come check it out.
Brian?
You can find me on Twitter at Biovalsino, and if you want to come see me freak the F out about Moon Knight in like 30 seconds when this is over, I'm at Apocalypse Movies. I just put it in the chat. So yeah, I'm gonna lose my mind.
And Molly?
At Molly Damon on Twitter. And you can find me and Alex every Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock Eastern, talking about the new Boba Fett episodes.
On Twitter at Qui-Gon Jake 2N. Someone else took it before I did. Yes, thank you, Chuck, for sending that in the chat. Bar Trivia is this Thursday, everybody. John Hughes themed. It is
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, and 16 Candles are the 3 movies we are doing. I will say this right off the bat. Miss Peggy Gubbins will be joining us. One special guest that we have joining us right now. So check that out. Get interested. It's going to be a blast. That'll happen on Thursday evening. But without Patreon stuff, you don't see us until next Monday. So get your booty over there and come hang out with us because we're a good time. It's a really, really fun time. Patrons, the Q&A is out. Enjoy that. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. Catch you guys next time.
Bye.